All right, Saturday morning at the boat. Logan and I are going to swap out the original exhaust hose. So it comes up, goes in here, and then it goes down. And everybody says it gets stuck, that it's a real pain to get it behind. This is where the oven goes, behind here, and then it comes up there and it goes back up behind these cupboards, and then where it comes up right there and goes up and into the next locker, which is back here. So that's it right there, and it's running down, and it goes to the bottom of this compartment, and then connects into the tube that goes out the back of the boat. That bigger one. So we're going to work on getting all these compartments cleaned out, and then we'll attach the new hose to the old hose and start the fun of pulling it through. I bought this piece of PVC that fits inside the 1 5/8, putting 2 screws into it, and then we're going to do the same with the end of the new hose, put them together, and then we're going to tape this real nice so there's no anything to catch as we try to slide the new hose in through the spaces by pulling the old hose. Basically, he's grabbing the hose. Here, grab the hose like you were. And he's feeding it down, and as he feeds it, and I took this broom handle and I jammed it in there as far back as I could go so that it lifts the hose up out of the V that I read about, getting stuck in. And me grabbing this and just pulling with constant pressure, and then him spraying it with some soap as I put constant pressure on this, and then he feeds it down into the hole. It's just been sliding right through. Like it was really, really hard at first, but then once we kind of got this little system down, we just pulled the whole thing through. Like we've only been working on this like an hour. All right, we got the new hose connected, and it's got clearance between the steering radial. And next I'm gonna redo all the zip ties that hold it up going down along this, and then we'll trim it to length. I actually think I have a few extra feet, but I'll try to kind of push and pull it down into some spots in case I ever need to just redo the end of it or something. If it gets damaged by hose clamps or something, then there's some extra to be pulled on. When I aligned the motor for the new strut, the transmission shifting cable is getting jammed up into the bottom of the floor. So I'm gonna take this bracket home. I'm gonna modify it. I might just weld on a piece of metal here, so that way this can just be dropped down. I finished my transmission shift cable bracket modification. I added more holes so you can have multiple adjustments on this. So it can go on that one, you can slide it down to this one, and then you can slide it down to the bottom one, depending on the engine height and the floor, so that it's not being jammed. Okay, I got it shifting real smooth now. I had to add a couple of oversized nuts to space it out, because this was too close into here. And so when you shift into forward, it actually pulls the transmission lever back, and it gets shorter, and it was binding as it was trying to make this angle. I don't remember any shims or anything on this when I took it apart, but it always used to shift smooth before this. So I don't know. The cable's lined up nice now. After seeing my zincs were so bad after 6 weeks, people in my Catalina 30 group on Facebook said I needed to get a galvanic isolator. It needs to go on the green grounding wire on the back of the shore power plug. So there's my shore power plug. And then under this locker here, you can't get to it. I might have to take this entire board, this entire wooden bulkhead piece out to get up in there. I mean, I could see the wires that run up in there, but I can't really see it. And I'm supposed to make sure that this 100% goes to the green wire directly attached to the shore power plug, not that it splits off somewhere else or anything else splices into it. There's no way to get to it from the other side, so I might just have to snip all these zip ties and take this bulkhead out. I was working on putting in the galvanic isolator, and I noticed that my boat still has the 12.3 wiring for 30 amp, which is technically not good. And anyways, I'm taking this apart. A little bit of charring right here. And then you can see there was some arcing. So I don't know. Might be time to get a new one of these. You can see it's a little dark. It's a little dark inside there too. So I had to pull out the entire grouping of wires that runs from back here, bringing the power in. Gosh, that looks like a rat's nest. And there's like the power wire coming in, and then there's wires, one wire going to the water heater and one wire going to that outlet, and then there's another outlet right over there. But so I just pulled the whole bunch out. The 2 wires are still good because those are rated for what they're carrying into the water heater and to the outlets. But the main supply wire I'm gonna go change out with a 10.3 wire. Well, it is one crappy blustery day, but we got some of our parts. It's got the smart plug 30 amp, and then I got my 10 gauge 10.3 wire. So I'm going to work on running this wire down through here and getting all this put back together and all the wires landed. Okay, for anyone with a Catalina 30 that's wondering, I'm in the port locker, and the wires come up and over, and then here's your fuel and waste pump out and all that. And then I mounted my Victron right there. I got the boat side, and I got the shore side, and then it comes up into this little crack right here. And see, when you have your shore power plug out, you can actually it's all lit up in there. But before I took that out, it was all dark, and I wasn't even sure where anything was at. So that's if you ever want to run that 10 gauge wire to replace the 12, this is kind of what you'll be dealing with. Got the plug all wired up. So now I just need to secure it to the boat. Okay, it's all done. Got the smart plug in. So I'll go home and put the new end on my existing shore power cord, and then tomorrow we can try it out. Just got the new end installed on my old shore power cord. I'm kind of confused. I only have water heater breaker, and then my main 30 amp breaker. And looking behind this thing, yeah, it's just I guess I don't know. I guess I just have 30 amps going to all my outlets, going to everything. That seems very odd on why this boat's set up that way. Okay, we got the power switch back on, and I can hear the battery charger. Can't really see it very good. You hear the battery charger humming away. Cool. At the boat working on some wiring. I bought some 20 amp breakers, but I actually need to buy a 15 amp breaker. The 20 amp is going to go to the 20 amp is going to go to the outlets, but the battery charger, I just looked it up and read its specs, and it wants a 15 amp breaker supplying it. So I'm redoing the jumper wire that comes from the 30 amp breaker that jumps over to the 15 amp water heater, and that's going to jump over to the 20 amp outlet wire, and then I'll hook all those up. But I'm redoing the jumper wire with 10 gauge, because technically that's 30 amps, and then when I step it down to 20 and step it down to 15, then the wire is cool to be the smaller size that it is. Okay, my outlets are now protected by a 20 amp breaker, so I'll get a label right here that says outlets, and then I'll buy a 15 amp breaker, and this will be battery charger for this guy. That's hard to see in there. I got my 15 amp breaker. I'll be putting that in today. It'll go pop this little plastic piece out, and that'll go right in there. And then my boat will be like all the other boats in my Catalina 30 group that have the individual breakers. Yeah, you might have seen me getting a little frustrated earlier in the video because I was doing all this research on how, you know, the breakers are supposed to be set up, and you know, everybody kept telling me that they've got all these individual breakers protecting protecting the outlets, protecting the battery charger right there. And I didn't have that. All I had was 30 amps coming in on 12-3 wire, which I guess was fine back in 1985, but definitely isn't fine anymore, or at least they know it's not. And then from the 30 amp breaker, it was supplying 30 amps to that water heater, which is 15 amps. And then it was supplying direct 30 amps to everything else, all the outlets, the battery charger, which is, according to the battery charger's manual, it's only rated for 15 amps. So I'm going to be putting this in today, and everything that has 30 amps will be on 10 gauge wire, and everything that's 20 or 15 amps will be on 12 gauge wire. On all my wiring, I've been taking the super lube and I put it on the ends there, and then put the shrink terminals, if I have them, and then melt the most of the terminals on this boat are not the shrink style, but I figured as I go along, if I can just change them out, and it'll keep it little bit more sealed up from moisture. Okay, AC, electrical, upgrade and repairs are all done. So now I got the battery charger with a 15, outlets with a 20, and anything with 30 amps on it is now a 10 gauge wire.